Welcome to another episode of Research Spotlight. I'm Dr. Terri Gonzales-Ball, and I am a play therapist at Preston Place Counseling here in Dallas, Texas. So I conducted my research with Dr. Sue Bratton and Dr. Yulia Pronchenko. Dr. Pronchenko is actually conducting a sister study to mine. We conducted our research in a Head Start program because we wanted to specifically work with children that were economically disadvantaged. And our study included about 20 children between the ages of 3 and 4 who had been identified by their teachers as exhibiting disruptive behavior. And they qualified on the Child Behavior Checklist teacher report form that was administered to the teachers at pre-testing. And so these children fell within the borderline to clinical ranges on the externalizing problem scale. We had about 11 children participate in the CTRT group and 9 in the control group. We also worked with 23 of these Head Start teachers and their aides, and so they were in pairs and they participated fully in the study. They were randomly assigned to either the CTRT group or they were assigned to the control group. So our intervention was exploring the effectiveness of child-teacher relationship training, or CTRT as we'll call it, with children exhibiting disruptive behavior. It was a really big study. So it extended from the beginning of August until May, and it was divided up into 2 phases. Phase 1 focused mainly on training the teachers in the CTRT protocol. CTRT follows the CPRT protocol, which is a 10-week protocol, and we trained them within 2 days. And then each teacher and their aide went into their classroom and chose from the children that qualified for the study a child of focus. And so the first part of that was 7 weeks. They conducted their own special playtimes that were recorded, and then we provided supervision for them for those special playtimes. The control group was receiving conscious discipline training at this time. And then once that was completed, the second half was mainly focusing on generalizing those skills that they had learned into the classroom. And so that was a 10-week protocol where myself and Dr. Pronchenko went in 3 times a week, and we called it CTR time, where we would use the children's center time. And we would go in there and demonstrate and model what it would look like to use these skills with the entire classroom. And the teachers were very involved in that part as well. So we'd go in 3 times a week for 30 minutes, and that lasted the entire 10-week of the intervention. Our results were really exciting. Our study was a randomized repeated measures control group design. So the data was taken at 3 different points. We had pre-testing, which was done before the study began. We had a midpoint, which was done between phases 1 and 2. And then the post-testing was done once phase 2 was complete. We used the CTRF to gather information from the teachers at each of those 3 points, but we also used the DOF, which is the direct observation form. So we had raters that were absolutely blind to the study. They didn't know who was participating and who was not. And they would go in and observe their assigned participants. So we assigned them participants from the study, but we also assigned them children that were not a part of the study. And they would go in and observe these children for 10-minute intervals at 3 observational points during each testing period. And that would take about a week to obtain 1 score for each of the 3 points. So we used a factorial ANOVA to analyze the data, and we found that compared to the control group, the CTRT group demonstrated a large treatment effect size on reducing the children's level of disruptive behavior that they were exhibiting. When we analyzed the CTRF data, specifically 7 of the 11 children improved to normative functioning from their clinical to borderline scores. And that was compared to only 2 of the 9 in the control group getting better. And 6 children on the CTRF actually worsened from the control group. And then when we analyzed the DOF data, the children in the CTR T group demonstrated statistically significant decrease in disruptive behavior over time and a large treatment effect size. So everything was really good and exciting. Two things were really interesting and exciting for our study. The first being that because of our significant results, this research won the Association for Play Therapy's Student Research Award in 2014. So that was really awesome. And then the second was the development of the reciprocal relationship cycle, which was illustrated in the article. So if you look, teachers spend a lot of time with children, sometimes more than their parents do. And they reported consistently that across the board, one of the hardest things in the classroom is when children are exhibiting disruptive behavior. They feel that they don't have the skills necessary to effectively respond to this behavior. So the responses during this time when it's very intense, they actually deeply impact a child's ability to exhibit self-control. So you can see how they're very reciprocal there. And we looked at it as a cycle where we have disruptive behavior, more than likely stemming from an emotional disturbance. This creates a challenge in the teacher's ability to be effective in the classroom. It puts a strain on that really important relationship between the teacher and the child. And then they start to have a negative view of that child. And they respond pretty negatively to the behavior, which leads to more emotional disturbance and, again, repeats that cycle again where there's more disruptive behavior. Where you tend to see interventions focus is modifying the child's behavior or teaching teachers to modify that child's behavior. But what we loved about CTRT is that it's focusing on that important relationship between the child and the teacher and helping the teacher to understand that the social emotional development of the child is greatly impacted right here. So the teachers within the study were actually telling us, I understand this child better. I understand where they're coming from. I have more empathy for this child. And this was helping their relationship and changing their perspective of the child. And so taking the focus there and teaching them the skills really shut down that entire cycle. And I think it shows the importance of focusing more here when you're trying to provide interventions for teachers and trainees. If you are interested in learning more about my research, it is published in the International Journal of Play Therapy, or you can visit cpt.unt.edu. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a joy to be here.